Hey guys, and welcome back. This is part two of the Litchi review. In this one, what the shot you see now is basically I'm doing a focus point of interest on this church, and I'm kind of going around it and just taking a look at it. I did get permission from the pastor to kind of do this. I was kind of joking around with him. I asked him, "What's the height of that steeple that we're looking at right now?" And he's like, "What do you want to know?" And so I told him what I was doing. He was like, "Oh, that'd be kind of cool." So I did get him the height. It was around 120 feet, and so it's kind of good to know. But this is kind of just working around the church. I think I should have framed the church a little better, but this is all an automated flight. I didn't want to go over that road they see there because there was a lot of traffic on it, so I kind of just stayed where I could initially. And turned out pretty well. I was pretty happy with the shot and how kind of the cameras move. The next one I did, I think, was framed a lot better. Was an orbit shot, so you can see kind of I was using the orbit mode in Litchi. I set the radius pretty high out there because I wanted to kind of capture the whole thing. I didn't want any crashes. I think the height was around 160 feet up in the air. It had snowed the night before, just a kind of a dusting, so you do see the snow on the ground there. And overall, I was pretty happy with the shot. It ended up being a pretty nice shot, and you could see the whole church pretty well. I did talk to them about putting on their Facebook page as well, so we'll see if that happens. But so that's the church, and that's kind of the automated modes in Litchi. So that was recorded yesterday, and again we had a dusting of snow. And today the winds were pretty calm again today, so I went to the park where I originally did some testing, and I was trying to track use the tracking mode again, try to track my daughter running around the soccer field here. And you could see it kind of keeps up with her for a little bit, but after a while it kind of just it doesn't know where to look, and it just kind of goes dumb. You could see it's snowing just a little bit, and it just kind of tries to find her again, and it does go kind of crazy. I did have to highlight her again, and we tried it a couple times just to see how well it could track, and again it would just lose her. So as far as Litchi using it as a tracking app, I haven't had good success with it yet. I've had really good success with everything else except the tracking. Next, we're testing out the orbit mode, and I had my daughter just kind of stand there, and while I orbited around her. Now, the one thing that Litchi does nicely that you really can't do with the GoPro app is that you can kind of tell it where you want to do the orbit. So when I was doing the church, it actually made it really easy because I was able to, use the map and put a point of interest on the church and just tell it to orbit around that. But when it came to people, it wasn't as easy. So with the GoPro app, you kind of have to fly above the person or the object you want to kind of orbit around, and then mark that as your home point, and then move around it. I found that with my daughters, I had to kind of do that as well, and I think I did do that. I'll show you a little later how I did it. But the orbit kind of turned out pretty well with my oldest here, and we did do a couple. She wanted to try without her hoodie on and with the hoodie on, and it went pretty well. And then we kind of I tried to test out just kind of the height thing, going up a little higher, a little further out, just to see how it looks. And I wasn't 100% liking how it looked, but I did get a cool effect, and that's coming up very shortly. That ended up reversing, so it kind of looks like it's coming from the top, coming towards her. I think I want to kind of work on that technique a little more because it does look pretty neat, and you'll see it coming up here in a second. Right now, I was still playing with the modes here, just trying to get close. All right, here we go. So now it's starting up from high up, and it's kind of spiraling down towards her, and you'll see that it kind of does a really good job with that. I really kind of was happy how that ended up looking. I think I'd like to kind of next time extend it a little more so it starts before it starts, just kind of hold that view a little more on her. But overall, it was a great shot. So this is my youngest. She was dabbing, and I was having a hard time keeping her center, and so what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of refocus the camera, and the way I did that was basically, you'll see in a minute, when I point the camera down, and I just was kind of hovering above her. Right now it's still orbiting, and I wasn't happy with how it was orbiting. So it was one of those, she was getting frustrated, as you could see, and she was like trying to move to the center, and I kind of had her trying to move to the center, but I'm like, you know what? Instead of having her try to move to the center, let me just recenter it. So I put it in the gimbal down 90 degrees, and I try to center her in the view as much as possible. I was about I want to say 20 feet above her, and I kind of didn't want to stay above her too long just in case any emergency, and so I set that right there as kind of the home point, or the point of interest point, and then I had it do its thing. I did find that with point of interest, I do kind of have to adjust the gimbal a little bit. I think that's just because I didn't put her correct height in. She's about 4 feet. I probably should put 4 feet. I think I had it set at 0. But as you could see, once it was centered correctly, it was able to do a really good kind of orbit around her without having problems. And yes, all the kids these days love to dab, or whatever that thing's called. So it was pretty nice. The orbit mode, again, I am liking it. It does a pretty smooth orbit, so I definitely would recommend Litchi app for the orbits, and it did kind of do a good job. So at the end of the flight, I just kind of brought it close, and again, I try to do it manually, kind of a curve manually. I think I'm getting a little better at it. I think I probably want to take the side stick a little down on the sensitivity. So then we went home, and I did kind of basically a height test again, and basically I went from 0 feet to 400 feet. I think it was 393 at the end there. My neighbor was kind of out there talking to me, and you could see one of my other neighbors stopped by with his car, and he actually saw me flying the last couple of days, and he kind of came out to talk to me because he's been thinking about getting a Phantom 3 Standard. So we're just kind of talking about that, and we're just standing out there, and even though it was about, I'd say about 6 to 8 miles per hour wind, and you could see the drone getting affected by it lower altitudes, it hit, it was pretty steady. The whole shot was pretty steady. I decided just to kind of bring the gimbal up and just to pan around to take a look at the areas around us. You could see just kind of to where we are, it's mostly houses. The townhouse community is right there. That's where we live, and there's different houses there. And behind us is kind of all farms. There's the church that I shot yesterday. There's the farmland behind us. There's lots of different small farms behind us. And I decided once, I just wanted to show them the coming down part. The interesting thing was, even though it looked to me like the drone was further away, when it came down right where it started. So it was a pretty interesting to see how the GPS held it pretty nicely in check. And I was pretty happy with it. And so here we are coming down. I like how the fact that when you come down, the speed is a lot slower than going up, and I think that's a great little feature DJI put in. That way you can't really go down too fast and crash your drone. I've had other drones where it doesn't have that feature, and it's very easy to crash on landing there, coming down especially. So then I was kind of showing them around the gimbal and things like that. So I wanted to show them the Litchi kind of waypoint mode, and what I did was I wanted to kind of do what's known as a reveal shot of my house. So I showed them that basically I put the gimbal down 90 degrees down, and I recorded it basically by tapping on the Litchi map, and then I flew to where I wanted to the end shot would be, which was my house, which is the second house in there, and I kind of framed it the way I wanted, and moved the drone just to kind of show the whole house, and then I basically recorded that. Now, if you have a fancier drone, you can use the C1 to kind of put that there, but if you don't, you can just click on your where you are in the Litchi map, and it'll put that in. Nice thing is it records your height and records all the settings of your gimbal, so it makes it nice and easy. So if you're trying to do a nice reveal shot, that's kind of how you do it. So right now I hit play, and it just going to the first point right there, and it's kind of going up with the gimbal to reveal my house. Normally I'd probably try to keep it in frame there for a little longer, but I do have it set to go back to the first waypoint once it's done. So I might try to put in like maybe like a third waypoint to kind of hold that view for a little bit. But overall, that's what's been going on with the Litchi. I'm liking the app a lot more than the Go app, and I think it's definitely I recommend getting it if you have the Phantom 3 Standard.